Hi, I'm here with Jordan, creator of the film Arachnarche, and I just have a few questions for her, if that's okay. I'm just going to start by asking, well, I think the film is hauntingly beautiful in many different ways. I just wanted to start by just getting your thoughts and inspirations when you were conceiving the idea, if that's okay.
Well, I wrote it with my friend Jack Eagleton, and we're both big Jan Spenkmeyer and Quay Brothers fans, and kind of just stop motion in general. And there's a lot of imagery we kind of borrowed from things like Coraline and the short film The Sandman, which is stop motion. And, a lot of sort of, in terms of like texture, like Quay Brothers and Spenkmeyer kind of trying to sort of really make the audience feel things, and a lot of the imagery was kind of related to like growing up and kind of overcoming fear and sort of things of that nature.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
yeah, you can see all those inspirations so clearly when you're watching the movie as well. They all come out.
yeah.
I always compare this one to Coraline, like you were saying, because it's just so similar to that film. I'm glad you brought it up first, because I thought it might have been a diss to you if I brought it up. But and I loved when you showed at the end the behind the scenes shots. It's so interesting. You must have worked with such a large team to create the film. Was it difficult to organize a team of that size?
We had like a main team of 5 people, including myself. And then we had like the team below the year below us, which was like sort of, they would add props and like things like in the opening shots, because it was a university film, so we kind of had some other university students helping. So in terms of like the overall team, you can see in the credits like just how many people contributed, but the main team was just the 5 of us, and then the post-production and like the cinematographer and editor and things like that. But yeah, kind of like trying to figure everything out was a bit of a
I bet a logistical nightmare, like it sounds like.
Yeah, especially during like post-COVID, because I had to come back to the States and finish up the film.
Is that when you made the film, around that time?
It was September of 2019 until like August, pretty much, with post-production. So it was like from September, and then March hit, and once March hit, I had to pretty much take the puppets back and make a set in my garage and film.
It must have been
like,
that's an actual nightmare. Wow.
It's funny because like the film itself, like it kind of mimicked like because the sort of climax of the film is around the time when she sees the wall and there's like flesh in his mouth, and that was the week of when shutdown was about to happen, so we weren't sure if we were even allowed to be in university. So I was like, just like, we gotta finish this, I'll take the puppets back, we just gotta go. And like every day we'd be in, we're just like, okay guys, we just gotta get this shot done. And it was so like
must have been such a rush. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, no, it was like the most intense part of the film was the most intense part of filming.
That makes it all the more impressive that last shot came out as well as it did.
Yeah, and then when I came here, it was like things kind of slowed down a bit. I could kind of be like, okay, I'm just like gonna be at home and deal with my garage. And so the last kind of 40 seconds were a bit more like slow, and you could kind of breathe.
You can actually chill out a bit,
Yeah, it's like, okay, I'm not dealing with the plague anymore. I'm just gonna be shut inside my house for the next few months.
Oh my god, I didn't realize you were still stressed about it. I mean, it was so stressy, mate, the actual production. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been able to do something like that. Christ, jeez.
Yeah, no, it was really bizarre, because we were all just like, should we even be in university right now? Like, I don't know. I mean, luckily we had our own room.
Yeah.
So our own little stop motion room was luckily kind of social distancing. But it was really just like because people were like, I'm not showing up with my team. I don't want to put my team at risk. And I'm like, oh man, I gotta like finish this and then leave to America. Because that was like a whole week of just like, do I need to go and leave the country? I don't know. I'm still trying to like make this film. I don't know.
Your dedication to making the film was paramount. I respect that.
Yeah, one of our model makers who was helping out, one of her friends, like, I don't think she had COVID, but she got sick, and so she was like, hey, should I come in? We're just like, no, just stay home, just, it's fine. And so it's just like, we're like losing team members as the film goes on.
They're like, getting picked off one by one, it's just you left making everything.
Yeah, because like a lot of people had hay fever and they weren't sure. They were like, hey guys, I have a bit of like a cold, should I come in? We're just like, no, just stay.
Just leave it. Just leave it.
So it's like every day there was a new person. We're just like, okay, we're gonna get it done. We're just gonna make it to Thursday.
It just makes it all the more impressive. It's just that it came out so well. I mean, oh
yeah,
my
I was
God.
not expecting. I was like, okay, I guess we're done for. But then, yeah, luckily we were very lucky to have our end scene be a totally different environment.
Oh yeah, I thought you did that intentionally. I thought you were like.
It wasn't. It was like in the original story. That's how it happened. And so I switched the schedule the weekend before because I was like, okay, just screw all the shots that we don't need to redo, and we'll just focus on what we need to do up until that scene.
Yeah.
And then we got all of that done, and then we were very lucky that we just had like a completely different environment that I could just rebuild in my garage, because the model makers made this beautiful set and then we couldn't use it and then I had to rebuild it.
Oh, so is that set just gone to waste then? Oh
yeah,
no.
I guess the university will just have huge
destroy it with a sledgehammer. It's infected with COVID.
But yeah, so that was like a whole, I remember that week was just like, it went from like the Thursday before being like, oh yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine, to like the weekend being like, oh, I need to leave the country, and then like that week being like, we need to get everything done in the next 3 days.
So you had to organize going home while you were making the movie. That's crazy.
Yeah, no, it was an interesting experience. It was like, just like, okay, how do I manage both
I mean,
things?
the good news is it can't get more stressful than that. There's no way you can make a film more stressful.
Like this has been like, everybody's like, well, at least now you're gonna be fine when it comes to normal filmmaking because you won't have.
You can handle anything at this point. Like that is ridiculous that you didn't even finish the film and you had to go home.
Yeah. Just like, okay, how do we plan around a plague? Okay, guys, let's brainstorm.
I mean, you smashed it. Don't worry, but bloody heck, jeez. Oh my goodness. Okay, let me ask you another question. I just wanted to I wanted to talk about the interpretations of the film a little bit. The film, like lots of other horror films, is highly up to the interpretation of the viewer. Me and my partner Dave were discussing different ways of seeing the film, as in like he was saying that he sees it as a human playing with a doll and trying to grip her, and that's what the little tentacles were. But as a filmmaker, do you prefer actually leaving things ambiguous so the audience can create their own meaning or interpretation?
I think I feel like, because when Jack and I wrote it, we had kind of a clear vision of, okay, we want these sorts of themes and we want this sort of imagery. But like, I think it's nice to sort of, because I was constantly like sharing it with friends and family and being like, do you understand it? Does it, like, do you get it? Like, is it clear? And it's interesting to see because sometimes people see like the same thing in certain things, and sometimes people see different things. So I kind of like that people can kind of see a bit of their own interpretation. But in terms of what Jack and I were going for when we were writing it, we were kind of more going for like growing up and overcoming fear, and so we had a lot of like childhood imagery, like the doll and the dollhouse, and it's sort of her like facing her fears, and the dollhouse is sort of like the body growing up and her not wanting to grow up. And so we had clear ideas in our head of like I sort of had the idea with the teddy bear and sort of the prickly viney sort of things, and that being like body hair, and for women, it's like when you get body hair, it's like, oh, get it off of me, and you know. And then Jack sort of had the idea of the flesh wall, and that's sort of being like growing, you know, and our own interpretations are kind of different. Like he wanted sort of this spider imagery because he's very afraid of spiders, and how that kind of turns into something good at the end and something that shouldn't be afraid at the end. So it's nice to hear different interpretations, and like your interpretation. I like that people can like think of it and come up with their
well, I really like, it's like what you said about the title, like it adds a whole new layer to the film, like and I like the way you explained it. I didn't even think of it as a sort of coming of age, but you know, I'm gonna have to watch it again with new eyes, you know.
Yeah, but that's the thing, like it's different for everybody, so I enjoy that it's different for everybody.
Yeah.
Because you know, you can have your own meaning going into it, but we didn't want it to be like crystal clear, because we wanted to kind of capture more of the feeling rather than like, this is a film about puberty and growing up, and you know, like we didn't want it to be like this.
You didn't want to be set in your ways. You wanted to just leave it open-ended. Yeah, I think that's the best way to do it. I actually get a bit annoyed when filmmakers explain their films too much. I'm like, all right, make my own mind up.
Yeah, kind of like leave it up to viewer to sort of explore their own. Yeah.
Well, I think you've already gone over this, but I was just going to ask how long did the project take to create? I think you said September to, was it May, March?
It was, so we had a few months before so for our university we had to have like a unit where we would develop the pitch, and that took maybe a couple months. So I think Jack and I wrote this January of 2019, maybe December 2018. I was very like adamant about like we gotta get a script written, so when we enter pitch unit we're just like, we got it. So I was very much like, we gotta make something. And so we kind of came up with the initial idea around December 2018, January 2019. And then we just kind of kept developing it through the months. And then we kind of let it sit for the summer, because that's when we knew like, okay, our film went through, but we haven't been chosen yet. So we didn't really do much work over that summer.
Yeah.
And then September was when it got sort of greenlit or whatever, you know, got chosen. And then from September to like August of 2020, was it September 2019, August 2020? But there was a bit of time gap between, you know, having to catch up with all the coronavirus stuff.
It's a time gap from when you had to journey home and work on it in your garage.
Yeah, it gave us a bit of an extension for all of that, luckily. But yeah, so it was probably like a full, like almost year-ish.
A year-ish.
But it wasn't always being worked on. Like completely.
Wasn't a consistent process. We're taking
So.
It's like broken up into different sections. It's amazing you made a film just in a year, like of this caliber. Like it's really well done. It's all the more impressive. I don't mean to go back onto the COVID thing, but that's just blown my mind, you know.
And all of the like the other graduates, like I was really impressed with all of the films that came out.
Yeah, I was going to ask, how did the other films in the module turn out?
Yeah, they turned out really well. I was always like, did this, you know, because I think once we all went home, we didn't really know. Like,
did they have problems when COVID hit as well, or?
Yeah. And luckily, because I think a lot of people were worried about the stop motion film, because we were the only stop motion film from our year group, and a lot of the other directors doing the 2D films were like, oh, stop motion film, and I'm like, it's okay, we got it.
No, stop motion's the best. Come on.
Yeah, like it's fine, we're doing fine. But yeah, no, the other films I was really like, oh gosh, and I know some of them are still, because you know people are like getting jobs and trying to get work, and so they're like, okay, I have to put this on the side until January, guys. So some of them haven't quite finished, I think, not all of them. Yeah. So the ones that have, I've seen, I've been like,
are they phenomenal? Yeah.
Yeah, it's all the more like, because I think everybody was pretty much like, yeah, no, our year just isn't gonna finish. And the film started coming out, I was like, oh wow, we did pretty well.
Was yours one of the first released, or one of
I
them?
think it was actually.
Yeah.
I think we were one of the first ones that were, because we had an initial extension and then we had an extension of that extension. Because all films were like, we're not gonna be big. And we were the only. I think we were one of the few films that like. I needed like a couple days because the sound designers needed to tweak some things, but other than that, like it was pretty much like finished by the time it needed to be finished.
You were so dedicated to getting it out. It was just like
I know. I was like, I need to finish it. But yeah, no, it was like a whirlwind of just like, okay, on to the next stage. Okay, it's almost done. But yeah,
it came out though. You can stop worrying now.
During the plague, it kept me busy.
Yeah, it kept you focused on something else in that grueling time, I imagine.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, let me get on to my final question. We were talking about it before, actually. Well, you touched on it about the actual spiders in the film. They're quite a prominent part of the film, being in the title as well. They sort of it's weird because when I first watched it, I thought they were going to be like everyone, you know, the antagonists almost. They subvert your expectations and they lead to that final reveal of helping the girl. When you were creating the film, did you begin with the intention of showing the spiders in such a positive light, or did this come through production?
I think it definitely, like, it was in the original story that it was like it was supposed to be this kind of, because my friend Jack Eagleton, who I co-wrote it with, he's very afraid of spiders, and he kind of wanted to, because we were kind of bouncing ideas off of our insecurities and fears and like how to sort of visualize them. I think the thing with the spider, because I remember when I approached him, I was like, I'm gonna write something with you, and I want it to be like have a doll and be about fear and all that. And he was like, can there be a big spider? And I was like, yeah, let's make a big, let's have a big spider. And so we were trying to sort of have it be this sort of force of nature. So you think at first like, oh, it's this bad thing because it's this force of nature. But then we wanted it to be like, I think from the very start, like I wanted it to be like she accepts whatever her fear is at the end, and that fear was kind of growing up, and that was sort of embodied by the spider. So we definitely wanted it to be like she doesn't necessarily. It's not like we didn't want it to be like, oh, she gets over her insecurities and then she's perfect, because that's not really getting over your insecurities. It's just like, now I'm the ideal. So we wanted it to be like she gets over that fear and she still has that fear with her, but now she's just, her viewpoint has changed. Yeah. So that's kind of what the spider was. It was sort of guiding her to grow up, and then the house was like, no. and so then she sort of was rejecting that growing up, but then it ended up being a good thing.
Well, it's the perfect way to tie the themes of the movie all together, so I think it did work really well when you explain it like that.
Yeah, no, we were really like thinking about, and during the pitch, like we have to like be crystal clear of everything. But I mean, I think when you make things, you can just sort of feel them out. But when you have to pitch to a whole year group, you have to be on it for every question. You have to know what everything
was.
means.
Was the pitch the teachers and every student then?
Yeah. It was,
oh wow.
It was like our year group, and then the year group below us, and then our tutors. So it was like probably like almost 200 people.
200 people. Wow.
Yeah. So we're like, I was so nervous beforehand, because I'm like kind of okay being in front of people in like a performing setting, but like when it's talking, I was just like, wow. You know, I remember just drinking water, like, okay, I can do this. And I, you know, some people had to pitch on their own. I had like 4 other people with me, but
wow.
Really cool. And
that
so
must have been.
We kind of took turns, luckily, but I remember I think I was the one who opened it up and was like, oh, this is our film Arachnarche, and I was just like, oh, hello. You know, I was just so nervous. But luckily, I think once you're up there and people are asking questions and are interested, it gets a little bit.
Yeah, once you get into the flow of things, it gets a bit better, I imagine. But 200 people, and I already have stage fright. I wouldn't have been able to deal with that, you know, that well.
And like, I had people backing me up, luckily, so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna like down some water and just let them talk for a bit, and you know, just try to get my nerves under control. But some people had to go up on their own. Just,
Oh,
like,
no,
10 minutes just talking.
no,
about
I
it.
can't be dealing with that.
Really nerve-wracking.
It all worked out in the end, though. The pitch happened,
Yes,
the film came
really.
out. Hopefully, there's not another pitch, 200 people.
Yeah. Got a film made during the plague.
Congratulations.
I've been seeing like film festivals. It's like quarantine films. It's like, oh my gosh, this is like a whole new just for this year and maybe next year too. I've been talking to some of my friends in here below. They're having to like figure out how to make a film during lockdown, sort of. And it's just like.
I mean, it must be hard because looking at the amount of people you had on your team, and it's just like you can't get them all together to make another film.
Yeah,
Is it?
no. I feel so bad for the new year making films. They're just starting to make films and they're asking questions. And I'm just like, I'm so sorry you have to do this.
I'm sorry this had to happen to you. Well, that's what I was going to ask next, actually. Are you making any more films, or is there anything next you're planning? I know it's COVID season, but...
Yeah, I'm working on a little documentary. I just finished shooting for this thing called Romantic Chorus, and it's like an 85-minute film, and they have 17 animators across the world.
Wow.
So we've all been animating during the plague, and it's great. It's a lot of like student, because it's kind of like pretty independent, like low budget. So it's a lot of students who either are in school and are doing this on the side, which is like props to them.
That sounds amazing. Wow.
Yeah, so it's been. I'm doing like, I think I'm doing like 2 minutes something for it, and I just finished it. So
where's it going up? Is it like a YouTube thing? Are we talking about?
Yeah, it's coming out in January. I should have the website. I know on Instagram it's like Romantic Chorus documentary, but it's really cool. It's like a lot of people just talking about their. Oh, sorry, I'm just looking up the actual.
No, it's fine. No, go ahead.
Like, a pure. But yeah, Romantic Chorus documentary is their Instagram, and then romanticchorus.com is the website. So it's like 17 animators, and it's directed and produced, and they've done documentaries before, but this is their first animated one, which is really lucky for them because they can just like
do it at home.
Yeah, because originally, they usually do like actual filming, and so this was actually quite lucky for them.
Worked out in their favor, yeah. Jeez.
Yeah, but it's like a lot of audio of just people. They have the theme of like monogamy and sex and technology and fear, and it's kind of broken up into those sections of how the people from different backgrounds and how they've dealt with relationships, and it's really interesting. Like,
it sounds so fascinating.
Yeah, it was really fun because they just posted on like a group I follow on Facebook, and I was like, okay, cool, I'll try to do that. And then they're like, yeah, we want you to be part of it. I was like, oh, cool, more stuff to do. So I just finished that last night, and I'm just gonna edit it a bit and then send it in,
and then that's coming out in January.
In January.
Yeah, something to look forward to in hopefully not a grim 2021.
Yeah, hopefully a bit more.
Bit better.
Yeah.
I mean, my fingers are crossed. I'm not hopeful, but you never know.
Not too cautiously optimistic.
Where can we actually follow people keeping tabs on you if they want to keep up with your filmmaking? Do you have anywhere or?
Yeah, so I have an Instagram called Emanimates. So it's Emma Animates, but it's all like one word. So it's EMMANIMAT. I just sort of connected the words together.
Perfect.
And then the website I have is like, it's a Wix site, so it's quite a lengthy, but it's like it's on my Instagram. So.
Yeah, we'll get it for your Instagram. It's fine. Yeah, we'll post it. It's fine.
Deal with Wix.
We'll find it. Well, Emma, thank you so much for taking the time out to speak to me, especially it's so late at night when you're sorry again, but And hopefully I'll be able to speak to you soon and work for you again. So thank you again,
Yeah,
Emma.
thank you so much.
Yeah.
And I can't wait for the festival.
Hey, Halloween. Woo.
Yeah. Spooky season.
Woo. All right. I'll see you soon, Emma.
Thank you. Good morning. Yeah, good morning.
Good morning for me. Good evening for you. Bye.
See ya.